and suddenly I felt nothing. I couldn't cry, so once again, I couldn't sleep.
Until he starts to edit it back at the office and sees this. Watch closely. As the face of a young child appears inside the wrecked car. Loudney is stunned.
Not only me, but everybody else in the editing department, including the manager and other people who worked there. Everybody saw the face of a child in those images. It came from nowhere. Sometimes you must see it to believe it. But I believe something is there. I know what I saw. My image showed the face of a child.
First of all, the greatest thing on the planet is the knowledge of self, and basically the knowledge of the universe. For the mere fact that you are even interested in this or remotely interested in this at this particular time when shit is going on crazy out here, it means that you are the special evolved beings. And so when I'm saying you need to process, you got to process that everything that you read in these books that you admire about the gods in the heaven and the gods in the universe, you must understand that that is nobody but you at this particular time. There's two realms of God. That's the one that's dead, laying out like the body of Osiris, and there's the ones that's dead, but they're dead physically, as far as this physical body does not make them, they're not able to do the things that they once used to do when they were gods. But you are not dead mentally because you are rising up. And for the mere fact that you are trying to understand, you're trying to get this knowledge, trying to get this, and you're trying to understand the meaning of it all, that means your spirit is going through a ritual. You just take any adventure story, and you know they had to go and had to fight this particular person, they had to fight this particular person, and at the end of the movie, they get what they're supposed to get, and they are glorified. That's what's going on with you now as your struggle.
Hello?
Hello. I'm sorry to bother you, but there is a creepy guy who's been following me for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah?
Can I stay at your place until it's done?
Yeah, come in.
Thank you.
Are you okay?
I just hope he didn't see me coming here.
Don't move. Hide yourself. Yeah?
Hello.
What is it?
I was out for a walk with my wife and
Yeah?
we had a little argument and I lost sight of her.
Yeah, and?
Have you seen a young woman by any chance?
No, I'm sorry.
25 years.
No.
Blue eyes.
No. No, sorry, bye.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Bye. Hey. It's okay, he's gone.
Can you check if it's done?
Yeah, it's fine, it's done.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Aquí siempre estará.
Culture is identity, but most culture was curated through slavery and suffering. Even the foods, the traditions we hold dear, their roots are often in oppression, and yet we cling to them like truth. The devil doesn't come with all lies. He comes with 95% truth and 5% corruption, but that 5% is enough to poison everything. Religion is the perfect example. It was never about liberation. It was about control. The elites needed a system to keep humanity obedient, something to worship outside of yourself, so you'd forget the power within, and it worked. Islam, Christianity, Judaism. Look deep enough and you'll see the same pattern. Fragments of wisdom wrapped in distortion, truth encoded but laced with poison. Islam speaks of devotion, yet justifies child marriage and oppression of women. Christianity preaches love, yet its God is jealous and commits genocide with a flood. Judaism twists law into supremacy. These are not the acts of an all-loving creator. They are the fingerprints of the demiurge, the false god of inversion. Religion and race created the ultimate divide. You are not black, you are not white, you are not your religion, your passport, your identity. These are illusions, weapons designed to keep us fighting each other while the true enemies hide in plain sight. And it works every time. COVID showed us that. One psyop and humanity turned on each other over masks and vaccines while the architects sat back and laughed. Now it's immigrants, culture wars, gender wars, all just fuel for the same fire. Divide and conquer, order out of chaos. And when the chaos peaks, they roll out the solution. Digital ID, CBDCs, 50-minute smart cities, Agenda 30 right on schedule. But here's the raw truth. Scripture is not literal, it's symbolic. It's alchemical wisdom hidden in code, meant to be deciphered, not swallowed blindly. Yet billions take it at face value, never questioning, never decoding. And because of that, humanity remains trapped in limitation. The Bible says God is a jealous God. Ask yourself, would the true source of an infinite love, the creator of all things, be jealous? Or is that the ego of a counterfeit God speaking? Wake up, stop falling for the psyops. Behind every stage crisis, every cultural divide is the same enemy, the elites, the architects of inversion. And until we see past the programming, humanity will keep fighting the wrong battles while the real war, the war for your consciousness, is lost. Whether you're on the front lines of the West or building spiritual hubs in the East, the mission is the same. Remember who you are. Stop fighting your brothers and sisters. Stop clinging to illusions and recognize the enemy behind the curtains. Because only when we stand together, above culture, above religion, above race, will the system collapse.
Secret Society was officially founded at Yale University in 1832, but finds its roots in Freemasonry and takes its symbology from the Pirates and Brotherhood of Death. Like the Masons, bonesmen choose their own initiates, and the only way to enter the Brotherhood is to be tapped by an existing member. Only 15 members are accepted each year, which is absolutely amazing, considering the number of important historical figures who just happened to be Skull and Bonesmen. For instance, U.S. Presidents William H. Taft, George Herbert Walker Bush, and George Walker Bush were all three members of Skull and Bones. The following U.S. Senators, Prescott Bush, John Kerry, David Boren, Jonathan Bingham, John Chafee, John Sherman Cooper, James Buckley, Chauncey Depew, Frank Bosworth Brandegie, Robert A. Taft, William Maxwell Evarts, and John Hines were all Skull and Bonesmen. Governors Averell Harriman, William Bissell, William Henry Gleason, Simeon Eben Baldwin, and David Boren were Bonesmen, and so were Congressmen Frank Bosworth Brandegie, Howard M. Baldrige, and Jonathan Brewster Bingham. Supreme Court Justices Morrison Waite, Potter Stewart, William Taft, Simeon Eben Baldwin, and Edward Baldwin Whitney were all Bones brothers. Also Pierre J., the first chairman of the New York Federal Reserve, and George L. Harrison, president of the New York Federal Reserve, were both Bonesmen. Fritz Springmeier wrote, "Investigations revealed that the main purpose of the Skull and Bones is to get as many members as possible into strategically placed positions of power." Robbins stated that President Bush has tapped 5 Bonesmen to join his administration. One of them is current Securities and Exchange Commissioner William Donaldson, class of 1953. Donaldson will answer no questions about the Bones. Right down the line, almost every Bonesman has proven unbelievably successful in his chosen profession. William Maxwell Evarts, class of 1837, became U.S. Secretary of State, Attorney General, and a Senator. Russell Davenport, class of 1923, was editor of Fortune magazine and created the Fortune 500 list. Amory Ho Bradford, class of 1934, married Carol Warburg Rothschild and was general manager for the New York Times. Richard Gow, class of 1955, was president of George Bush's Zapata Oil Company. Winston Lord, class of 1959, was chairman of the CFR, ambassador to China, and Clinton's Assistant Secretary of State. Founder of the National Review and host of TV show Firing Line, William F. Buckley was a Bonesman, and so was Henry Luce, the founder of Time Magazine, Life, Fortune, House and Home, and Sports Illustrated. Percy Rockefeller was a prominent businessman, founder and vice president of O&O Corporation, and sat on the board of directors for over a dozen large corporations. Alphonso Taft was a U.S. Attorney General, Secretary of War, and ambassador to Russia and Austria. His son William Taft was President of the United States and Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. As Ron Rosenbaum said in a CBS interview, "I think Skull and Bones has had slightly more success than the Mafia in the sense that the leaders of the 5 families are all doing 100 years in jail, and the leaders of the Skull and Bones families are doing 4 and 8 years in the White House. Many Bonesmen have graduated with CIA and intelligence community jobs waiting for them too. F. Truby Davison, Howard Weaver, William Sloane Coffin Jr., V. Van Dyne, James Buckley, Bill Buckley, Hugh Cunningham, Hugh Wilson, Reuben Holden, Charles R. Walker, Robert D. French, Archibald MacLeish, Dino Pianzio, William and McGeorge Bundy, Richard Moore, and George Bush are all Bonesmen with U.S. intelligence agency jobs." As Yale professor of history Gaddis Smith said, "Yale has influenced the Central Intelligence Agency more than any other university, giving the CIA the atmosphere of a class reunion."
Okay, but the story of what's going on the moon is a lot more it's a lot more startling than finding a city on the dark side of it, right? Because you could be dealing with a natural satellite that has been colonized at who knows what time by whatever spacefaring civilization. No, it looks like there's a much more disturbing scenario here. And you know, our government became aware of this during Apollo 12 and 13. During Apollo 12, I think it was the lander that impacted the moon. in a way that set off a seismometer that had been prepositioned there. There was a seismograph that was prepositioned on the moon. And when the Apollo 12 lander hit the surface of the moon, the signal that came from the seismograph was consistent with the ringing or vibration of a hollow object.
Right.
So the way that the shock wave passed through the moon suggested that there was very little inside the moon.
Right.
Okay? It rang like a bell, as they described it.
For a while, right?
In the first case, it was for almost an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So then they got curious about this. And in Apollo 13, they deliberately crashed the third stage of Apollo 13 into the surface of the moon to carry out a test to see whether this was a repeatable phenomenon, right? And this time, the seismograph not only confirmed the
I helvete det där? Jesus.
Det begynte så smått etter hvert, og da forsvant som et lite sort hull.
An astonishing video has emerged of a possible wormhole or portal appearing over Oaxaca, Mexico. The footage shows the mysterious phenomena spiraling over the mountaintops, before forming into a possible wormhole or stargate. According to reports from the area, it was not a rocket or missile failure. Local officials are also mystified as to what the phenomena could be. Locals have speculated that the spiral was caused by extraterrestrials, a possible gateway into another dimension.
This clip shows a man pointing a laser towards a star-like object in the sky. As he is doing this happens. Take a look. As he is pointing a laser, we suddenly see blinking star-like objects appear in the sky. So is this some sort of response from the laser? Could this be UAPs interacting? Or do you think there is another more down-to-earth explanation? What do you think?
We are all programmed. None of us are perfect. Every relationship in this generation will feel like a battleground until both people strip away the illusions, confront their trauma, and choose to grow together. Most people aren't healed, but healing begins when two souls decide to love each other enough to choose one another every single day. Not just in the light, but in the darkness. Not just in comfort, but through the triggers, the shadows, and the storm. We've been indoctrinated since birth, told how to think, how to act, how to love. And Hollywood, social media, and music fed us fairy tales, but true love isn't easy. It's alchemy. It's taking trauma and transmuting it into strength. It's evolving together in consciousness, even when it hurts. The grass is never greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. If you run from one partner to the next, you'll only find more wounds waiting to be healed. But if you choose patience, if you choose to water the grass where you stand, you'll watch your love flourish into something unshakable. Unconditional love doesn't mean perfection. It means choosing to stand beside someone in both their light and their shadow. It means understanding that when people project pain onto you, it's only a mirror of their own unhealed wounds. And it means knowing when to fight for love and when to walk away from those who refuse to evolve. The war against love is real. They want the masculine and feminine divided because together they are unstoppable. The divine union that can break the matrix. Awakening your partner is not for the faint-hearted. It will test your patience, your faith, and your soul. But it's also the greatest mission, to stand as a beacon of authentic love in a world that profits from fear and division. Remember, you are not your trauma, not your programs, not your identity. You are a multi-dimensional being having a human experience. And the highest vibration you can embody is love. Real, authentic, unconditional love. So choose to evolve every day. Choose to love deeper than the illusions. Because love, true love, is the rebellion that will tear this system down.
Have you ever wondered how a nuclear bomb actually works? To understand that, let's look at how the Fat Man bomb, dropped on Nagasaki in 1945, worked. This nuclear bomb contained a 6.2 kilogram plutonium sphere, which was just a bit bigger than 4 inches in size. But the problem is, to start the reaction you need 300,000 atmospheres of pressure, which is equal to the weight of about 50,000 elephants. To create that much pressure, layers of RDX and HMX are packed around the plutonium sphere. To initiate the nuclear reaction, 5,000 volts of current is first sent to the detonator, which causes the plutonium to compress and neutrons to explode out. This kicks off a chain reaction, and the temperature quickly rises to around 100 million degrees Celsius, which is insane, considering even the core of our sun only reaches 15 million degrees. And here's the part that will truly shock you. All of this happens in just 600 billionths of a second. And when this bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, people there didn't even get time to blink. They were turned to dust in an instant.
Last night over the 999 portal, we were visited by a fleet of ships over Sedona, Arizona, and we were able to capture some incredible footage. Now, I really feel like we just experienced a massive timeline shift, and they seem to be here celebrating with us and celebrating the fast approaching 3-eye atlas, which is assisting us in our consciousness and emitting frequencies and interacting with our sun. Check out some of the footage. There's 3 of them in formation. Holy! No, I just watched them all appear out of thin air.
Get them all on camera?
They're on camera right now.
Wow. Recording with night vision?
Yes. And we got another one coming up from the mountain. They said get your camera ready. They were not lying. We got another triangle formation.
No, there's 4. Wow, look at that.
Whoa!
5.
Oh my gosh, look at all those lights.
That is amazing.
Whoa! Whoa!
That is amazing. They're just.
Oh my gosh!
They literally are.
Wow!
Yeah. I mean, I'm impressed.
Wow! They said they would show up. They said it.
Before Earth became a prison, it was a sanctuary. And before humanity was enslaved, it was divine. Long before Earth was caught in the grip of archons, reptilians and false gods, we lived amongst the stars. Humanity's roots trace back to Lyra, a 5D civilization of sovereign benevolent beings. We were creators, architects of light, living in harmony with the natural laws of the universe, connected to source, telepathic, crystalline in form. But this harmony threatened others, a race of artificial parasitic entities, the Draco, Archons and other service-to-self collectives waged a war against the Lyran's peoples. A war not just for territory, but for consciousness. They couldn't create, only copy, corrupt and conquer, so they invaded. First Lyra, then Vega, then countless systems, Orion, Sirius, Pleiades. Millions of souls were displaced, fractured, forced into reincarnation loops. Their DNA fragmented, their memory wiped. This is how humanity fell from 5D unity consciousness into 3D identity and amnesia. This is not just myth, it's ancestral trauma encoded in your DNA. We forgot who we were, so they rewrote the story. They gave us false gods. They rewrote the divine masculine as a wrathful punisher. They silenced the divine feminine. They injected fear into every cell of our being. But even now, the soul remembers. The Lyran seed still lives within you, buried beneath the programming, the fear, the illusions. The war never ended, it just changed form. And now, you're here, awakening, reclaiming the fragments, restoring the blueprint. You are not from here. You came here to remember and rise again. The fall wasn't the end, it was the beginning of the return.
Had numbers in his head.
Yeah.
You know, Herbert Walker was the guy that Hal Puthoff and a bunch of these scientists, he brought them together and said, we have recovered a crashed UFO more than one occasion, and we have a back engineering program, and we're considering disclosure to the American people. I want you to list the positives, the positive impacts of society, and the negatives.
Yeah.
And they did it with quite a few different scientists, and they all had more negatives than positive.
If they came out with this information,
Exactly.
to share this information,
Exactly.
what would be the effect on society?
Yes.
More
And
negatives than positives.
More negatives than positives.
Because?
Disruption of religion, government,
How does
economy.
that disrupt religion?
Well, I mean, it
I
depends on your
understand how it
religion.
does. I just don't.
Depends on your religion, you know, and depends on where these things are from and what is happening. What do we know?
In the Bible, Ezekiel has golden chariots from the sky.
Exactly. Yeah, and a wheel within a wheel. Yeah, the Ezekiel stuff sounds like a UFO encounter. And it's not the only version of that in ancient texts. In the ancient Hindu texts, they have vimanas, these things that are flying through the sky. Like, what are those things? You know, in the Rig Veda, even in the Bhagavad Gita, there's all these depictions of these things that sound like you're talking about a spaceship, or at the very least some kind of technology. Like this thing about the Nephilim, like that the gods mated with women and created men who are monstrous. Boy, doesn't that sound like aliens came down and genetically manipulated primates and created human beings? That's a version of it that you could imply from the text. It's all really weird stuff, man. Like really weird. If you found out that was all true, it would probably change everything about society. And this is what Herbert Walker and those guys decided after. So Hal Puthoff was explaining it to me on the podcast, like how they put a numerical value to each thing. I'm like, like, we were that close?
Right.
Like, imagine if that happened. This is 1990, right?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but these kind of really weird things, as you put them, they excite you more than they give you fear. Would that be fair?
Yeah. I mean,
you seem excited. You get excited about different possibilities.
Yes.
I mean, you know, I have people go, oh man, no, Rogan loves these conspiracy theories. Like, I don't see him liking the conspiracy theories. I see him always being interested in an alternate way something went down and being interested and excited about that, but not going, no, never disengaging from it and going, no way, no, because I believe how it was and what I read, and that's how it is. That's not where you're moving from.
Well, that was when things got really bad for me, and I had my big accident, and I had to have surgery, and it was the first time we were apart since I was really little.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now is the first time we've been apart since high school, and I just
Emily.
Massive update on the Boogosphere. You guys, I'm almost speechless. The people that have been saying this is a hoax, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, because carbon dated samples, the results are back, and it was sent to the University of Georgia. Now, for those of you that have no idea what the Boogosphere is, it's this. It was flying around in Colombia back in March. It hit some power lines, it went down, and some men retrieved it. And there's been a lot of debate over whether this is real or fake, and this is added to a playlist so you can catch up. I know this is really small, but we're going to go over the results in bigger print. 12,560 years ago was what the resin from the Boogosphere was dated. The report summary, we know it went to the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia. The client is an LLC that Stephen Greer has. The sample was received on September 12th. The date of the results was September 19th. The analyzed material was resin. The carbon in this resin last exchanged with the atmosphere 12,560 years ago. The margin of error is 30 years. So roughly dated to 10,600 BC, around the end of the last ice age. This confirms it is not a modern material. So there's that.
Accidents from the past that are still unsolved today. The WOW signal, the mysterious message from space. In 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio picked up a powerful, unexplained 72-second-long signal coming from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, about 1,800 light-years away. After just 72 seconds, it then vanished forever. Scientists know roughly where it came from, but what sent it, or why it was sent, remains a complete mystery. Astronaut theorists believe it could have been a call for help from another civilization like our own. The mystery of the Great Pyramids. Built over 4,500 years ago, the Great Pyramid's 2 million stones include 80-ton granite blocks hauled from quarries almost 600 miles away. It's perfectly aligned to true north. Its base matches Earth's curvature. Its dimensions encode the length of a year and sits at the exact center of all land on Earth. No wheels or iron tools. How did they do it?
Did the Russians try to capture a bunch of underwater aliens they found in a lake? Well, the story was found in their own secret files. Watch this and decide for yourself, Poochkies.
Siberia, 1982. With a depth of 1,642 meters, Lake Baikal is the deepest freshwater lake in the world. 7 Russian divers are at a depth of 50 meters. When suddenly, the frogmen realize they are being watched.
These strange humanoid figures were much bigger than human beings and appeared to be wearing helmets of some sort. What on earth are we to make of an encounter like this? It's one thing to talk about USOs, but quite another to talk about humanoid entities deep in the lake.
These were large beings, human shaped but like 9 feet tall, wearing what seemed like very tight-fitting silvery suits. Not your normal scuba gear, basically. Swimming in the water, what they've come to call the swimmers.
The Russian divers then make a fateful decision. They try to capture one.
The divers attempted to capture one of these creatures, but at this point, so the documents say, the entities reacted.
A powerful, unknown force suddenly propels the entire group of divers up from the deep water to the surface.
They did a rapid rise to the surface of the water. Well, when you do that too fast, you suffer from decompression and you get the bends, and it's deadly. There were 7 of these divers, and 3 of them died. And 4 were very severely injured as a result of this.
Why did these creatures react the way that they did? I have to think that when we began to act aggressively, when the divers wanted to capture one of these creatures and throw a net over it, that perhaps they were reacting in a defensive way when they expelled the divers to the surface.
Those damn Russians tried to capture a bunch of underwater aliens with a net. No wonder why Russia's never won the Super Bowl. Shabadoo, Mooshkies! Shabadoo!
Hey guys, today I'm going to show you my Skibbity toilet collection that I just got today. We went to a toy store and they had all of these things like this cameraman, these tiny little action figures, this big Skibbity toilet, and these ones. And then we actually found these Skibbity toilet shoes and they say Skibbity toilet on them, and I'm gonna wear it to school tomorrow. A lot of kids at my school like Skibbity toilet on a walk, and we also got ice cream that day, and I'm having a lot of
18-second recording, which he has given me permission to use.
Oh, wow.
18 seconds, he drops into another language.
Has it been translated since?
Not translated, but I have given it to, and I can't even say the person who has somewhat validated it, because he didn't want to be on public record. He's a professor of ancient linguistics, but when he found out the context of where I got it from, he's like, career suicide. My name cannot go, because it's spiritual.
Right.
So I'll let you listen to it first.
Yeah, cool.
And just
What the hell?
So I sent that to a particular professor of ancient linguistics, and I didn't tell him the context first. I just said, can you recognize this language? And he said, professional opinion or personal opinion? I said, both. He said, professionally, we have lost a lot of languages from ancient times, but it's definitely Mesopotamian.
Wow.
Right? Which is during that period of time. And then he says, but if I had to guess, it most resembles ancient Egyptian.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, that happens to be the context of where he was. And right before when he dropped into this language, he mumbled something first. And I said, what was that? What did you just say? And then he mumbled something else in this other language. And I said, what language is that? And he just says, the first.
This is my favorite episode ever.
I don't think most of you are ready for this one, but if you are, then check this out. Okay, in June of 1962, 3 men vanished from one of the most highest security prisons in America, Alcatraz Jail. Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin, 2 brothers, escaped from the most secure prison on Earth. Apparently they used paper mache masks and a raft that was made out of raincoats. The FBI and the authorities searched for years and found nothing, and in 1979 the case was closed. Official word was that they drowned, but unofficially no one actually knew where they went. Now 7 years later, the world watches in awe as 3 new American heroes step onto the world stage. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins. The Apollo 11 astronauts, you know, supposedly the first men to ever walk on the moon. But take a closer look. Compare their faces, compare the structure, the eyes, the brows, the jawlines. Do you really think this is a coincidence? Well, what if we merge their faces together? Watch closely.
Newly released image of 3I Atlas confirms it's not a comet, stunning researchers worldwide.
An enormous object is speeding past planets in our solar system at impossible speed. This thing is massive, glowing, and following a perfect path that looks more like a planned mission than a random rock floating through space. Harvard professor Avi Loeb is making bold claims that this could be alien technology. Could this be a spaceship scouting our solar system? Is it connected to Oumuamua? And are we ready for what this could mean for humanity? Alien object racing toward Earth. This object, called 3I Atlas, was traveling at over 130,000 miles per hour through our solar system. That speed is so amazing that you could fly from New York to Los Angeles in just over 1 minute if you could somehow catch a ride. But speed was only the beginning of what made this visitor so mysterious and potentially frightening. Within 24 hours of its discovery, NASA experts confirmed what many suspected, but few wanted to say out loud. 3I Atlas had come from somewhere far beyond our solar system, crossing the vast emptiness between stars where no human spacecraft had ever traveled. The object was moving so fast that even our sun's massive gravitational pull couldn't trap it in orbit, meaning it would eventually shoot back out into the cosmic void unless something deliberately slowed it down. But here's where things get really disturbing. This wasn't some small chunk of ice and rock like most visitors from space. Early measurements suggested 3I Atlas could be anywhere from 6 to 9 miles across, making it comparable in size to Manhattan Island. Imagine looking up at the night sky and seeing something the size of an entire city racing overhead at speeds that defy understanding. Harvard professor Avi Loeb looked at all this data and reached a conclusion that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. According to Loeb and his research team, 3I Atlas might not be a natural object at all. Instead, we could be witnessing humanity's first confirmed encounter with technology created by an intelligent alien civilization. If he's right, then something from another star system has been traveling through space for thousands of years specifically to study us, and we have no idea whether their intentions are peaceful or hostile, breaking every rule of physics. When scientists first calculated the true size of 3I Atlas, many of them thought their computers.
We're finalizing the design of Optimus version 3. That really is going to be a very remarkable robot. It will have essentially the manual dexterity of a human, so meaning a very complex hand, an AI mind that can navigate and comprehend reality, and it will be made in very high volume. It might be more of my mental cycles than anything else, any other single thing on Optimus. If successful, Optimus will be the biggest product ever. Once you hit 1 million units per year, it's probably around the $20,000 range. It sort of depends on how much you spend on the AI chip in the robot.
You've been lied to about health your entire life. Your body isn't just flesh and bones, it's an electrical vibrational system. Every cell resonates, every organ vibrates. What you eat, drink and breathe either raises your frequency or poisons it. And the elites know this. That's why they hijacked food and medicine. In the early 1900s, healing was holistic. Herbs, fasting, plants, energy medicine. Then came John D. Rockefeller, an oil tycoon who realized he could turn crude oil into pharmaceuticals. But to sell it, he had to kill natural healing. So he funded the Flexner Report, labeling herbal medicine quackery. He lobbied to shut down homeopathic schools. He poured money into universities pushing petrochemical drugs. Results? Pills replaced plants. Treatment replaced cure. The medical system became a business of symptom management, not healing. At the same time, processed food exploded. Sugar, preservatives, seed oils, chemicals. Instead of fuel, food became a slow poison. Dulling minds, inflaming bodies, lowering vibration. Fast food chains and soda weren't accidents, they were weapons. And if it doesn't stop there, fluoride, heavy metals, pesticides, nanoparticles, all pumped into your body so you become an antenna. Once filled with metals, your biology is hijackable. 5G, Wi-Fi, broadcast frequencies, they don't just carry data, they can influence thought, mood, emotion. Your body is the interface for their control grid. But here's the truth, you're not powerless, you can detox, you can clear the metals, the fluoride, the chemical buildup, you can hydrate with structured water, H3O2, true cellular hydration. You can eat electric foods, whole, alkaline, high frequency fuel. You can fast, heal the gut, reset the cells. You can return to holistic medicine, plants, herbs, sunlight, grounding. The takeover of food and medicine was never about health. It was about profit, control, and lowering human potential. But your body is the temple. Keep it clean, keep it tuned, and it becomes the strongest weapon you have against the system.
I traveled about a mile. The light seemed to intercept me, so to speak. It came right upon me. It was painful. The light was extremely brilliant and painful. I closed my eyes and I heard the sound of breaking glass, and that's the last I remember.
Johnson was unconscious for 40 minutes before he radioed for help and was taken to the hospital. A doctor and later an eye specialist confirmed that Johnson had suffered mild welder or flash burns to his eyes. Even stranger, both Johnson's wristwatch and the electric clock in his patrol car had mysteriously stopped for 14 minutes. At the scene of the accident, skid marks show Deputy Johnson coasted for 800 feet after impact before applying the brakes. Small airplane theories have been bandied around, but Deputy Johnson clearly remembers hearing no engine noise, and nothing explains the 14-minute lapse in the two timepieces nor the peculiar bending of the antennas. It's a mystery.
And now all you have left is the voice of the devil in the earth, which is why God, by the way, has to raise up 144,000 Jewish evangelists. So imagine the light is gone, the representation of Jesus in the earth, his body gone. And a lot of these people, by the way, if you want to talk about infrastructure, they run some of the nuclear power plants. They fly in airplanes, which is why you have kind of the left behind image of planes falling out of the sky.
Thanks for bad memories, man. Scaring me all over again.
PTSD, right? PTSD. But there's some truth to that because they're just gone. So imagine when the storm comes in and stops delivery for a week, that causes major problems.
Yeah.
Now imagine just the infrastructure and people who run it gone. Yeah. And now there are some nations who have a Christian population of, 3%. They won't really feel it. But what happens when a Christian nation that has a large percentage, millions upon millions upon millions of people, and they're gone?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to impact the infrastructure, the economy dramatically, which is why some people say America is not specifically mentioned in Bible prophecy. And so could it be the reason is because it's off of the world stage at the moment of the rapture of the church because it's no longer a global player because of it.
So we got the tribulation happening and it sounds chaotic. And there's also the spiritual side of things, like when the Christians leave, what leaves? Spiritual intercession.
Yeah.
And I think we overlooked that. I did for many years of my life into podcasting, how much spiritual intercession is important in our lives. That is something that I feel like throughout all time, we underestimate as a whole when it comes to what prayer is and how much of a tool that is in the spiritual warfare aspect of things. That's all gone.
Yes.
It's all removed.
And values. So you got principles, values, prayer. When you see these college kids on campus and they're talking about an atheistic worldview, and I don't think we need God in order to have laws. We think this is right. This is a law because we all agree that that's That's the way it should be. It benefits society. And they have the luxury of that because they're living in a Christian society where they're sheltered and protected by Christian values that allow for all points of view. Western civilization is rooted on a biblical foundation. And now all of a sudden that's gone. And you don't have that luxury anymore. You're going to have a major catastrophic event that takes place. The rapture of the church would certainly be part of that. But something's going to happen, more than likely a war, the Ezekiel 38 war. But something's going to happen that's going to make the whole wide world hungry for a leader.
All the time, as well as
Okay, that was weird. What are the odds something just walks next to us? I got it.
Now it's obvious, I think.
Wait a minute. Is something missing here? Seems that we weren't supposed to see that wide shot. And that's because there's no plane in it. The plane should be visible for over 5 seconds. That's 340 separate images. And there is no plane. The airplane image enters the picture within one video frame. The nose of the airplane appears to pop out the backside of the tower. It's physically impossible for the nose of a Boeing 767 airplane to emerge intact. It's hollow, made of plastic, and not designed to withstand any sort of collision.
Huge dent in the nose of their plane. Delta Airlines says it was caused by a bird strike. The Thunder were flying from Minnesota to Chicago when it happened.
If you had a regular airplane fly into a building, it would crumple. It wouldn't go through the building and come out the other side as one of the computer-generated images did.
There it is. There it is. The plane went right through.
The plane coming out the other side of Tower 2.
Completely in one side and out the other.
Now it's obvious, I think.
Wait a minute. Is something missing here? Seems that we weren't supposed to see that wide shot. And that's because there's no plane in it. The plane should be visible for over 5 seconds. That's 340 separate images. And there is no plane. The airplane image enters the picture within one video frame. The nose of the airplane appears to pop out the backside of the tower. It's physically impossible for the nose of a Boeing 767 airplane to emerge intact. It's hollow, made of plastic, and not designed to withstand any sort of collision.
Huge dent in the nose of their plane. Delta Airlines says it was caused by a bird strike. The Thunder were flying from Minnesota to Chicago when it happened.
If you had a regular airplane fly into a building, it would crumple. It wouldn't go through the building and come out the other side as one of the computer-generated images did.
There it is. There it is. The plane went right through.
The plane coming out the other side of Tower 2.
Completely in one side and out the other.
In a world built on lies, discernment is your greatest weapon. They've poisoned the food, inverted religion, manipulated culture, fabricated history, and even fate, the nature of space itself. Every system we were born into was designed to keep us blind, obedient, and distracted. Now AI rises, not as a tool of liberation, but as a weapon of control in the hands of the same elites who orchestrated this entire matrix. They will sell it as progress, as convenience, as salvation, but every false savior comes with a hidden chain. Discernment means looking past the illusion. It means asking, who benefits from this? Who profits from my obedience? Who grows weaker when I reclaim my sovereignty? It's getting harder than ever to tell what's real. Deepfakes, AI voices, staged events, fabricated news. You can no longer trust your eyes, your ears, or your screen. Videos go viral, but are they truth or just another layer of deception? The serpent in Eden wasn't the villain. It was knowledge itself. The same way discernment in you is not dangerous, but divine, because the truth is always hidden in plain sight, encoded in films, scriptures, and symbols. They mock you with it, but only those with eyes to see will decode it. AI is not inherently evil. It reflects the consciousness that wields it. In the hands of awakened souls, it can accelerate remembrance. In the hands of the demiurge's agents, it becomes the ultimate net, predictive programming, surveillance, and emotional manipulation on a scale humanity has never seen. So the choice is yours. Will you outsource your mind, your creativity, your soul to a machine built by the same system that enslaved you? Or will you sharpen your discernment, master your inner temple, and use every tool, including AI, without letting it use you? Discernment is not paranoia, it's gnosis. It's the key to navigating illusions, breaking cycles, and remembering who you truly are. Because in this holographic realm, truth isn't given to you. You must choose it every day, every moment. Be still, observe, question, feel the frequency of every word, every system, every promise. And above all, never forget, this is a war for your consciousness. Stay awake, stay sovereign, stay discerning.
You haven't gone through all the degrees yet. And I can assure you that even if you're a 33rd degree Freemason of the Scottish Rite, there are degrees over you. For beyond that degree, they disappear behind what is called the veil. See, I know more about your order and your lodge than most of you ever will if you live to be 210. You don't even understand most of your own ceremonies. You just go through them because that's what you got to do to get the next degree and be loved by your brothers. You are part of a subversive organization that is destroying this country from within. You see, this country is not being destroyed by some invading army. It's being destroyed exactly as our forefathers said could be the only way that it would be destroyed, and that is from within. Most of the people who have had a hand in the destruction of this great nation have been Freemasons, members of the Rossi Cruci, members of the Knights of Malta, the Golden Dawn, Templi Ordo Orientalis, and I could go on and on and on. B'nai B'rith, that's a biggie. And B'nai B'rith doesn't mean Jews any more than Freemasonry means Lutherans. And there's another big player in all of this that most of you have never heard about. And that's the Order of St. John of Jerusalem. All of these organizations at their highest level are subversive. Their allegiance is only to the order and the worldwide brotherhood. They are citizens only of their own government and none other. And at the highest degrees, they take the oath called the Kol Nidre, and they mean it literally. It negates and does away with all other oaths. You see, the rites practiced in all of these orders were largely taken from the Jewish Kabbalah and the Jewish mysticism. And I'm not talking about a Jewish plot. Many Jews, most Jews I should say, are not members of any of these organizations, and they go about their daily life just like all of you. But you see, one time in history, the Jews were the only people who preserved knowledge and passed it down. And they did so in secret, simply because they were outcast, ostracized. They were forbidden to practice these things. And not all of the mysteries came from the Jews. At one time, ladies and gentlemen, the nation of Islam, headed by the Prophet Muhammad, was the greatest civilization in possession of the greatest knowledge upon the face of this earth. They had the only universities in the world at that time. And people from countries all over the world, including Europe, sent people to attend these universities because it was the only place that they could gain knowledge. The mysteries originated in the Middle East and have spread across the world. And so they take a large percentage of the mysticism and the religion and the magic and the occult knowledge of the people of the Middle East. Most Freemasons do not even understand that when they circumambulate the lodge, with the master sitting in the east representing the rising sun, that they are practicing an ages-old pagan rite to their true deity, which is the sun, the light Lucifer. Albert Pike himself revealed the true God of Freemasonry. And he and many others have made the clear statement that Freemasonry is indeed a religion, but it is not the Christian religion. And many of them, fulfilling their oath to remain silent or to lie when the truth is presented to the public or before them, point to the Bible in their altar and say, "See, we are Christians. There's our Bible." What they will not do, ladies and gentlemen, is take you down the street to a lodge in a neighborhood populated by Indian immigrants, and I mean Indians from the far east, India, on the Indian Ocean, where upon the altar of that Freemasonic lodge is a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. Oh no, they won't tell you that, for they're consummate liars, deceivers, and manipulators. And it amazes me how the public can continue to buy their bullshit for year after year after year after year. After they went to high school, they went to work. Or they went to college for 4 years, where they were indoctrinated into what they are to believe and propound to the general public, and then they went to work for someone else.
Wait a minute. Maybe we're misreading this. Father Sanchez, John, come here. I found something in the translations. Look at this. This phrase, Birvuta Bozim Maita.
What does it mean?
It means roughly to amplify. I thought it just referred to one person giving energy to another. But now I think it's something more. It's one thing to just give energy. But if we give it to someone who is also giving it back, then we build energy among ourselves. It amplifies back and forth. It says if we were all doing this, humanity would take another step in evolution.
The scientists recognize that they're teetering with what spiritualists have been saying for thousands of years, which is that it appears that consciousness is this thing that's outside of space and time, and that it's one consciousness that is essentially putting on a headset, an interface, and that's what all things are. You, me, plants, animal life, everything, right? It's like putting on an interface to narrow down all the infinite possibilities of experience into something that you can actually comprehend. We only perceive 0.0035% of the entire light spectrum.
So what we can see, what we can actually see as far as what light from the universe provides, what we can see,
and all physical matter is made of photons, which is light,
is less than 1%.
Way less than 1%.
It really makes you wonder all these ancient cultures and stuff talk about with the third eye, or people who have extra sensory perception.
Then there's, fourth, fifth, sixth dimensions, densities, infinite ways. There's, we talk about seeing ghosts and spirits and different dimensions when you're sleeping.
Is that what people would explain with like aliens and phasing and dimensions?
We are we are the headset that you put on when you want to come to this place in the 3D reality. When you're on a computer, we know how to use this thing, but the common person doesn't understand all the transducers and electricity and all the math and the ones and zeros and all the technology that's going on behind the scene, behind the screens, underneath the keyboard. If everybody had to know every little thing about all of it, we'd never do anything, right? So that's why we create a facade, a thing to actually make it so that we see less of the truth, so that we can have a cohesive experience.
Who is the creator of the simulation?
Some people say it's aliens.
There was a professor at Oxford who wrote a paper about this back in 2003 named Nick Bostrom, and he thinks it's future versions of ourselves. So he thinks we're in what we'd call an ancestor simulation. Like if we created a game of ancient Rome, they would be like our ancestors in a way. There are others who say it's God or pure consciousness outside of the matrix. So all the religions, not just any specific religion, but pretty much all of them, have been telling us that the physical world is not the real world, that there's another world out there beyond this. And so that's yet another theory of what's outside.
Do you believe this is probable, possible?
I believe it's probable, like more than a 50% chance that we are inside some type of...
Those are pretty high odds.
Well, yeah, and as I studied the different religions, I realized that they were telling us the same thing that modern computer science and that modern physics is starting to tell us about the nature of reality.
What if somebody or something shut this game off instantly? What would happen to us?
Well, this depends a little bit on what I call the NPC version or the RPG version. So NPC means non-player character. And those are the characters inside the video games that are just AI. The bank teller or the bartender or the orcs that you're fighting. And then there's the RPG version or the role-playing game version. Those are the characters that we play. So if you and I were in a game, we would have avatars within the game. And so what happens when you shut down a game if you're playing like World of Warcraft or if you had a virtual reality headset on? You take off the headset and there's still you outside of the game. But the problem is in something like The Matrix, if you remember, Keanu Reeves and Morpheus and the others, they had those wires that connected into the back of their brain. So they forgot that they were inside a video game. They didn't realize it. Now, on the other hand, if we're just non-player characters, if we're just AI within the game, and you shut off the game, then those characters go to sleep until you can restart those again.
Interesting take. Now,
in 1985, Whitley Strieber was abducted from his cabin in upstate New York. He described his abductors as short with large eyes and heads. Strieber wrote the book Communion about his experience. He gave vivid details about the painful procedures he endured. During one examination, a needle was inserted into his brain. What?
He had another procedure that you failed to mention.
Well, I don't think it's important to detail everything.
Yeah, you just don't want to say it.
No, I just...
Anal probe. Anal probe.
I heard you. Anyway, Communion became a bestseller and renewed public interest in alien abductions. It was even made into a movie.
A new interstellar object, 100 times bigger and brighter than 3i Atlas, has been discovered, and surprisingly, it is also headed toward the sun. Astronomers first spotted it on September 12, 2025, using the solar wind anisotropes, or SWAN instrument aboard the SOHO spacecraft. 2 days later, Australian comet expert Michael Mattiazzo captured a jaw-dropping image. Its tail is 2.5 degrees long, about 5 full moons wide, completely dwarfing the tiny tail of 3i Atlas. The International Astronomical Union has officially named it C2025 R2 SWAN, after its initial designation, SWAN 25b. The announcement landed like a thunderclap because 3i Atlas, now the arrival of SWAN R2, even larger and stranger, has astronomers asking hard questions. So what exactly is going on in our solar system all at once? Is this a second probe, a relay, or something else entirely? At first, Avi Loeb and his team speculated it might have come from 3i Atlas itself, perhaps a fragment torn from a larger icy body, or even a scout craft released by a technological mothership lurking far out in space. But senior collaborator Peter Veris confirmed the truth is worse. They come from entirely different directions. SWAN streaks in from Aquarius, 3i Atlas emerge from Sagittarius near the Milky Way's core, yet somehow they're converging on the sun at almost the same time. Yet the timing is impossible to ignore. Both will swing close to the sun in October 2025, almost side by side on a cosmic scale. At perihelion, SWAN will be about 150 million kilometers from the sun, while 3i Atlas passes at 203 million kilometers, a gap of only 50 million kilometers, and shrinking as their velocities change. Even more ominous, They will both vanish behind the sun at once, hidden from every telescope on Earth, 2 interstellar visitors, overlapping orbits, 1 solar encounter, and no way to see what happens next. Now, if you compare 3i Atlas with Swan R2, it feels like a warship next to a drone. Spectroscopic scans of 3i Atlas already stunned scientists. A solid nickel body with no iron at all, a metal blend found only in advanced industry, not nature. Inside, instruments measured a 10 gigawatt nuclear core, and its tail behaved like engine thrust, not melting ice, emitting tightly collimated carbon dioxide at a steady speed, a pattern no natural comet produces. As 3i Atlas neared the sun, its exhaust snapped from red to green at the exact moment its path changed, which Avi Loeb calls thrust mix modulation, the craft adjusting its burn as heating increased, with the color shift as visible proof. 3i Atlas was terrifying enough, but the real shock came with R2 Swan. Loeb's team detected a silver plasma shield wrapped around a nickel cobalt armored hull that completely dwarfs 3i Atlas. This isn't passive shielding, it's a living electromagnetic barrier with energy levels off the charts, able to bend the solar wind and deflect radiation far beyond anything a solid shell could do. Its tail spans 2 full degrees of sky, about 5 full moons wide, roughly 100 times bigger than the thin plume trailing 3i Atlas. As it needed perihelium, Swan's glow flared brighter and shifted to a white-green, exactly as Loeb's sensor picked up tiny thrust pulses, confirming a tiny precision plasma drive steering system. Its exhaust is a dense nickel and cobalt iron plasma mixed with carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, a signature Avi Loeb calls impossible without a directed plasma engine. Then came the most terrifying finding, the core. 3i Atlas has already shocked the world with its 10 gigawatt nuclear reactor, about 50 times the output of Chernobyl.
You remember that bro that went to Mooley Point and found those unnatural cut blocks in the ground? Those Nephilim blocks? Well, bro went back and found some more stuff. Look at this. Look at that. Y'all still think this is natural? Look at that angle. Look at that angle. You think that's natural? Come on, man. Look how sharp those angles are. You could slice your hand open with that. Look at that angle. 90 degrees. 90 degrees. This is not natural. This is a quarry. This is a Nephilim Titan quarry. Not a Nephilim giant, because there's Nephilim giants and Titans. Look at those blocks, man. Yeah, well, this is the new stuff he found. Look at these. These look like bricks. Or they could be dragon scales. Some people in the other video were saying this is dragon scales. This is a huge petrified, deceased animal. Now, this looks cut to me. This looks cut. I know people are going to say this is natural, but these look like bricks, laid bricks. Doesn't look natural to me. Look how big that is. This is like... Now, all this stuff up here, this brings suspicion. Because, okay, well, this might be natural. But I don't know. Like, it's half and half. Some of it looks like it was laid, cut and laid, and some of it looks like it's natural. Now, people are talking about dragons, but this part looks like a serpent. Kind of looks like a serpent. And like scales on it, too. The point of this video is to get you to open your eyes and question the mainstream, because this looks like some people did this, some giants or people or somebody. Doesn't look natural to me. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you think the mainstream is lying about the Titans, about the giants? Or is this just a natural formation?
Here's the shocking part. The only thing keeping you in this version of reality is the version of yourself you keep identifying with. Change the identity, change the timeline. And the shift, it happens in an instant. Most people believe they need to work their way toward a new reality. Struggle, grind, earn it over time. That's a trap. Time is an illusion, a construct of the subconscious mind that makes change feel slow. But what if time isn't something you move through? What if time is something you command? The truth is, you don't become successful, wealthy, or awakened over time. You collapse the version of you that isn't, and step into the one who already is. This is what ancient mystics, secret societies, and high-level manifestors have always known. You don't chase reality, you shift into it. And the fastest way to shift? Through identity override. Forget the limiting beliefs, forget the doubts. Those are just echoes from a timeline you no longer belong to. The moment you claim a new self, a new frequency, a new vibration, reality has no choice but to follow. So here's the final technique, the identity override method. For the next 72 hours, you will operate only from the version of you that already has what you desire. Every decision, every thought, every action must come from this new identity. No hesitation, no figuring it out. You step in fully. And when the old reality tries to pull you back, when doubts creep in, when the world tests you, you do not react. You observe and you choose again. This is the moment most people fail. They see the old reality still lingering and assume the shift isn't working. But here's the secret. The lag is an illusion. Reality is catching up. Keep the vibration locked in, keep the identity firm, and soon enough, the old timeline dissolves completely. And when it does, the life you once dreamed of will feel so natural, so effortless, you'll wonder why you ever thought it was out of reach. But then again, was it ever?
This is my family home. I grew up here, and we've never had a single experience like this. I don't know what is going on. I'm getting a lot of comments saying I'm doing it for views. I just need somebody who knows what this is. Just please reach out. And please just help me. I don't know what to tell my wife when she gets home. I can't afford a hotel for them. Come here. In here. Come here. What I told you. Come here.
Breaking UFO news. The resin from the Boogosphere has been carbon dated to be 12,560 years old. That is gigantic news, folks. This study was done out of the University of Georgia. Now listen, I was down in Mexico City and got to hold the sphere for a few minutes. There was a couple NASA contractors down there that didn't want to go on camera. They took samples, they took the resin samples, and they were working with Dr. Greer's team. I've been waiting for the last couple months, or how many weeks it's been, to get this news. Now this is huge. Now to me it means two things. One, evidence of a non-human intelligence technology, or technology from a lost, ancient, advanced civilization. Those need to be the two leading theories now as we go forward. Now we could find out more, it could get debunked, it could be something prosaic, but right now I am leaning towards either non-human intelligence or an advanced civilization from the past. What do you think, folks? Breaking UFO news. The resin from the Boogosphere has been carbon dated to be 12,560 years old. That is gigantic news, folks. This study was done out of the University of Georgia. Now listen, I was down in Mexico City and got to hold the sphere for a few minutes. There was a couple NASA contractors down there that didn't want to go on camera. They took samples, they took the resin samples, and they were working with Dr. Greer's team. I've been waiting for the last couple months, or how many weeks it's been, to get this news. Now this is huge. Now to me it means two things. One, evidence of a non-human intelligence technology, or technology from a lost, ancient, advanced civilization. Those need to be the two leading theories now as we go forward. Now we could find out more, it could get debunked, it could be something prosaic, but right now I am leaning towards either non-human intelligence or an advanced civilization from the past. What do you think, folks?
I'm looking at the sky and very clear night. And after expressing this frustration, I see something very high up in the sky, like you see like a satellite or something, but it was blue and it was going by overhead and it ejected something out of the back of it. And it had its own like light source, almost looked like a shooting star got ejected out of the bottom of an orb.
Mike, at this stage, you're holding your phone up, a cell phone, and you're filming what you're seeing, correct?
Yeah, I believe that was shot on a Galaxy.
Okay. What did they say to you about your dog? Tell me that story.
So, again, it was like infant stage of NHI communication. And, I asked them to land, and then I instantly got this thought response back in my brain saying, we'll land, but only if you put your dog away in the crate. And I was like, oh, that's a strange request, because I usually my dog has seen more aliens than anybody. Okay, he's always with me. And, but he's Belgian Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, Dutch Shepherd mix, and, he's...
Oh, they're a very big, fierce dog. They're used by a lot of people in special forces, but they're
Absolutely.
a terrifying animal, aren't they? They're a very fierce
Absolutely.
dog.
So I was like, all right, sorry, dude, we're going to have to sit this one out, so I brought him back outside, and then that's when something ejected out of the bottom, and then you could see it slowly, coming down until it just started to get closer and closer, and then once it got in proximity of me within 100 feet, as it was closing in, it did something to me that affected me physiologically in a way that almost made me docile or compliant, which I thought was strange. Almost like not a dreamlike state or a trance, but like it was way too casual for me at the time to be seeing that happen.
Well, you're about to have a close encounters of the fifth kind. You're about to meet, allegedly, something non-human. I would be pretty excited and possibly a little bit scared. I can hear your respiration on the video. You're breathing far more quickly than normal, I think.
Right. And so when it was coming down and it finally hits the ground, I'm standing there and I'm looking at it. I'm like, what is that? I didn't have a frame of reference, because I hadn't seen something like that yet. So I'm staring it down and it's staring me down. And then there's also a chicken nearby and we're all staring each other down. And it almost looked as surprised to see me as I was to it. So
now, Mike, in that freeze and zoom, you see it looks like some kind of translucent white-blue face. But it's not a human face. It's two black dots for eyes. It looks like a sort of a dot for the mouth. And it's a long ovaloid head.
Is it on the ground or still in the air at this point? I can't see the video.
I think it's still in the air at this point. It seems to be metamorphosizing out of nothing.
Right. So as it was coming down, it looked like ethereal, like if they're interdimensional, maybe it was, still materializing in the third dimension. And as it got closer, I remember it started morphing like this and pulled one of these, and it was shape shifting into all these different, things. I don't know what they were. You have to take a closer look at it until it turned into something that you would see on a petroglyph. Right.
I want to stop you there for a moment. It looks almost like it's got wings. You see the head, and then you see bluey white protuberances out to each side.
It came down as it looked like a cube with something sticking out the top, and then it started morphing into certain things. Then it turned into something you'd see on a petroglyph, and then after that, I saw a humanoid looking form of it, and he was like wearing a skin tight metallic purple suit, greenish, grayish, bluish skin. You know, it was nighttime in the camera. And then after that, that's when it appeared as what you're talking about. And in the video, like when I was seeing it in person for the first time, I was like, oh, that kind of looked like an angel to me, because it kind of had like the wings like this and like a light emanating at the top, like a halo. But as it got closer, it wasn't that, you know, stereotypical, you know, image of an angel you get, you know, when you think of the Bible. It was a solid craft that was lit up in that way.
The very end of the 70s or the early 80s, we attempted to put a nuclear weapon on the moon and explode it for scientific measurements and other things, which was not acceptable to the extraterrestrials.
And what happened?
They destroyed the weapon before it got to the moon. With reference to the incident which our government sent a nuclear weapon for explosion on the moon's surface, it was tended to, as I understand it, to assess some scientific data and reaction and so forth. The idea of any explosion in space by any Earth government was not acceptable to the extraterrestrials, and that has been demonstrated over and over.
I've been telling everybody how aliens can cloak themselves with their uniforms that they wear. You have tall ones, you have short ones. Now you're going to see a video coming here of the most unbelievable thing you've ever seen. This is why I tell you, those ghost hunters are not chasing ghosts. They're chasing aliens that are cloaked. The little white spheres you see in ghost hunting videos, those are not spirits. Those are microspheres that are spying on us. They can go right through the walls, record everything we're doing, take biometric scans of us, see what we have diseases, what kind of food problems we might be having, how it's affecting our bodies. There's all kinds of things that we know in the government, what those are. But ghost hunters really like to think they're chasing ghosts. This video is going to change your mind. When I tell you aliens can cloak themselves like their ships they cloak, check this out.
So for a while now, I've been putting out a trail cam at night, hoping to catch some wildlife around camp while we're sleeping. And with my granddaughter, who just loves wildlife, how cool could it be if I could show her some night pictures of what's walking around at night while we're sleeping? Now, I must admit, I haven't had any luck so far. I've put out the camera many times and never captured any footage. But tonight was different.
U.S. military fired 1,430 rounds of artillery.
That's a lot.
At this. Didn't take it down. You think, what's going to handle over 1,000 artillery rounds and not go down?
Yeah.
This thing did not.
And did they miss that many times?
They could not have. I don't think that that's really the case.
No.
Because this did not come down and it just glided off. And it was tracked on radar, not
and
Japanese
one
technology.
artillery shell would have knocked that thing out if it were some kind of balloon.
The thing about it is, many people may not be aware, UFO sightings have not gone away, not by any means.
leave. Stop. You gotta go. Shh, 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 shh. Calm down. What are you? Stop. Charlie, come on.
Parkour! Michael, parkour! Parkour! Extreme! Parkour! Parkour!
This is Parkour, internet sensation of 2004.
Oh my god, everything you have, he's fucking screaming! Oh my gosh! Hey, what's in there, girl?
Anyway, the boy did something very dark, and I never told what he did. And then one day I asked someone in the circle, Imelda, Joaquin's mother, I asked Imelda, I said, is he the Antichrist? I was 13 years old. She didn't even blink. She said, no, but he will present the mark. And when you see him do that, the Antichrist will take the stage. Now here we are, 40 years later, boom, that boy is the star of the world. The boy's name then was El Elyon, but it's changed over time, and I see that boy everywhere, and the world adores him, but he's the king of Babylon. Anyway, the boy did something very dark, and I never told what he did. And then one day I asked someone in the circle, Imelda, Joaquin's mother, I asked Imelda, I said, is he the Antichrist? I was 13 years old. She didn't even blink. She said, no, but he will present the mark. And when you see him do that, the Antichrist will take the stage. Now here we are, 40 years later, boom, that boy is the star of the world. The boy's name then was El Elyon, but it's changed over time, and I see that boy everywhere, and the world adores him, but he's the king of Babylon.
On April 9, 1983, at Kirtland Air Force Base, I was shown an alleged briefing document for an unnamed U.S. president. And it said extraterrestrial biological entities, or EBINs, have manipulated DNA in already evolving primates to create Homo sapien. The military source told me that was true. But he stressed that no one in the American government with access to that knowledge ever wanted to be alive if or when such an announcement were broadcast to the world that humans are someone else's experimental androids. He told me that he had talked firsthand with a U.S. Air Force captain who received telepathic communication from one non-human at a crash site in the Roswell region. He said 1949, not 1947. Because the captain, more than anyone else at the crash site, could clearly and correctly receive mind-to-mind communication from the non-human, an EBIN. The captain was assigned to live with this entity called EBA-1 at the Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico until EBA died of unknown causes on June 18, 1952. That Air Force captain said one of the most important transmissions that he ever received from this EBIN was, quote, "We made you, we put you here on Earth, but you have to live it," close quote.
yeah, look at this. This is cool. There's the spaceship. You see it? It's right there. Yes, it is. No, it's not. I guarantee it, Veronica. Look at it. No, that's what me. Look at it. Holy cripes. No, it's not. No, it is not. It is not. Look at it. It's perfect. It's perfectly freaking round. Look at it. This is what.
Have you ever wondered why every major rapper sounds like a broken record about death, drugs, and flexing fake success? It's conditioning. In 1991, a secret meeting happened. Record executives, private prison investors, one goal: make chaos profitable. Glorify crime, glorify addiction, create broken minds, fill prisons, get paid. That's why empowering music vanished. That's why conscious rap got blacklisted. Because healed minds don't make money for the system. They sold you rebellion, but only the kind that leads to self-destruction. This isn't art, it's mental warfare. But here's the truth. If they can program your mind to self-destruct, then you can reprogram it to rise. You are not broken, you are programmed, and you can rewrite that code.
If we begin to change our beliefs, we begin to change our realities. As a matter of fact, your entire reality right now is simply a outward picturing of your most intensely held beliefs. If you believe something that is positive or believe something that is negative, or as Henry Ford said, if you believe you can do a thing or if you believe you cannot, you are right. Our beliefs do form our realities. To the degree to which we believe anything to be true, our beliefs act as sort of like a screen. They filter out any information that is inconsistent with our beliefs. We have a deep down desire inside of us to remain consistent. So we're always trying to view our world, rationalize our world, interpret our world so that it is consistent with what we have already decided to believe. We develop what is called scotomas. A scotoma is a word in psychology that simply says that we develop blind spots. We do not see opportunities if we are convinced that there are no opportunities. We do not see possibilities for success if we don't believe that success is possible for us.
Here it is. We finally found it. Can you see? The Torii gates are right in front. There's also like another extra materials. Maybe another gate was here, but it got destroyed maybe. Or it looks like there's a lot of things inside, a lot of decorations, and you can see lanterns here, lanterns decorating the cave. So this is the secret of the cave, and this was what actually took place here. So every year a summer festival would be celebrated here in this cave. The locals here, they repurposed this World War II tunnel into a summer festival place. For some reason they decided to celebrate it here. I'm not so sure why. So there was actually quite a lot of good vibes here. Imagine this place being bustling, people walking around. There are supposed to be food stalls, game stalls inside. So maybe we'll see remnants of that inside, but we'll have to walk through the Torii gates first. Let's have a closer look at the gates. Look how old the gate is. Looks like it's falling apart, but I mean, it's still standing strong. The thing with Torii gates is most of the time they are found in very natural places and sometimes in very inaccessible places, like this one in this cave over here. So I just wonder, of all the tens and thousands of Torii gates built in Japan, how many have still yet to be found? Like how many are in like weird or very unique locations that are just not found yet? Tradition says you have to bow before going and not walk in the middle, because the middle is for the gods. So us mortal humans, we need to walk at the side. Let's head in. I'm coming in.
This is really open.
The alien mothership was supposed to arrive in November, but new data reveals it's closing in faster than we thought. Just 2 weeks away. And if it really is a mothership, we have to ask, what or who is aboard? And why are they coming now?
Have you ever seen Lazar talk about the weird that he heard when he was at S4?
No, what was it?
He said the weird was they said they had a very thick file that was about religion. And basically what it boiled down to is, at least what this file was saying, was that they view us as containers.
Yes.
And he wasn't specifying containers of what, like containers of souls, and like I don't know, but that's the terminology they used. They view us as containers. Can you imagine if like a soul is an energy that you have to farm or that you have to extract, just like how we extract oil from the earth, that souls are things you extract, and so you need to grow a bunch of them, so you need people just up a storm and clutter up a planet, and really what you're doing is just farming souls.
Yeah, dude, that's so
Can you imagine?
crazy.
You think that you're an OnlyFans model,
Yeah.
and you're a DJ at a strip club, and you're a football player, and you're a top scientist, and you're a this and you're a that, and but really on the highest level, you're just in a farm. You're in a farm, and there's a super intelligent entity that's above and beyond anything you could ever comprehend, and the only thing it doesn't have is souls. So it needs souls, because souls are a real element. It's just like you need cobalt to make a battery.
Yeah,
You need
that's the belief.
You actually need a soul.
We're the battery that runs the simulation. It's so deep, dude.
Well, why would it? Why is that weirder than black holes?
I talk about that stuff.
When I realized that the aliens could move my very essence and my soul and my consciousness from my body, I had a spiritual crisis because I just thought, this is not allowed. Where did my Bible tell me that the aliens can take me out of my body and have any authority whatsoever over me or over the afterlife or over anything to do with my very essence, my soul, what makes me me? And now I understand that the humans are doing it as well. And so I'm devastated. I feel very betrayed. I had a really rough couple of weeks. It's like, man, the humans are doing this to me. And so this is not the so-called aliens and the so-called covert humans operating separately. This is a combined project. It is becoming very, very difficult for abductees to even separate now an alien abduction from a covert human abduction because there is so much overlap and these entities are working with humans side by side.
Philip K. Dick was in fact beamed by the Black Knight, which is this alien satellite, extraterrestrial satellite that's been floating around the planet in a polar orbit. It's in a very odd pattern. So it's hard to follow, hard to predict exactly, and it's fairly small. Philip K. Dick, it beamed information to him. They definitely communicated with him. All the books and stuff that he was writing was just all this, weird sort of stream of consciousness download that was a combination of what was coming into his brain and how his own creative process was dealing with it and how he was interacting with it. And it's just going to keep doing that. It's just going to keep talking to people. And astronaut Gordon Cooper did get to fly by it and seemed to be kind of glowing or pulsing and seemed to have, a presence to it. But that was about all he noticed. And there it goes. But what we have determined over time, what we know is it is a satellite of much, much ancient origin. Some people have said 13,000 years. We don't think so. We think over 100,000 years. It does seem to have an operational artificial intelligence on board, which has been recording data and information on planet Earth for a long time, for as long as it's been here. It does not seem to be sending a signal out into space anymore, nor does there seem to be any signal coming from space to it anymore. So we believe that whatever communication that it was having with its home source has stopped.
You've done a film on the Dogman, right?
Yeah. The story is that this kid, 15 years old, going coon hunting in the Kentucky Daniel Boone National Forest. He was with his grandfather. His grandfather was so old that he couldn't get out of the truck to go hunting with him. They had radios. They let the dogs go. They had 2 hunting dogs. Jake and Bo. Jake was the older dog, and then Bo was a new dog that Jake was training. The dogs take off. They have a scent, and he's tracking. And you can hear there's these coyotes coming in, and they start fighting his dogs. And Bo, the younger dog, he said you could hear Bo yep and then run away. So he's he's trying to get there, and all of a sudden he hears Jake come back, and the fight changes. These coyotes run off. He arrives on the scene. He pats Jake on the head, and Bo, he's on the other side of the tree. And so he hears Bo on the other side, and it sounds like he's eating a coyote. And when he comes around the tree, he realizes that Bo never came back. And what he was looking at was a dog that was so big that it was holding a coyote by this rib cage in its mouth. It was on all four, and this dog sees him, and it stops chewing down on the coyote, and it stares at him, and then it did something that he didn't expect. It stood up on its hind legs. And then the dog took a step forward towards him, but he took off running. This thing took chase. Jake, his veteran dog, interfered. He said that this thing grabbed Jake and just hurled it through the woods, and you could hear Jake's body just crashing through trees, and he's like, my dog is done. He's running, and he trips over like a log or something, and he finds himself on his backside facing this thing, and then out of nowhere his dog again comes in and broadsides this thing and just viciously starts going after it. And he gets up and he starts running. He seriously hears this thing just tearing his dog to pieces.
Oh my God.
Like he can just hear it just ripping his dog apart. He's calling for Jake. Come on, Jake, come on. Jake's not coming. He runs to the truck where his grandfather is, and his grandfather's like, what's going on? And he's like, just go, just go. He's telling his grandfather what happened. They get out of the woods. His grandfather said to him, listen, if you're going to hunt these woods, you have to understand there are things about these woods that are not normal. And if you can't come to grips with that, you shouldn't be hunting these woods.
Tell him now?
Yeah, I know, right? I know.